Hi, beautiful. Today I wanted to talk about bringing masculine and feminine energy into our healing. So it is really important that we do allow both energies to come into our healing, whether it be our self-healing journey or also a journey that we're helping to hold space for another person as a practitioner, even just as a friend or a caregiver, for example. Why it's so important is because there are really, when we're on our healing journey, it's very important that we're coming from this balanced place. We must ensure that what we are allowing to come through the journey is both energies of the divine feminine and also that divine masculinity. Now, this has got nothing to do with gender, obviously, but we all have both aspects of the masculine and the feminine within us. So, for example, divine masculine, think about the traits such as moving forward, taking action, the power, also having structure, planning, actually having strength and power and confidence. It's all of those aspects. That is what the divine masculine is really about. The divine feminine is the opposite, but also some aspects are very similar in terms of allowing ourselves to find strength in vulnerability and softness, nurturing, nourishing, that real energy of also the chaotic, going with the flow, things like that. So you can see that both aspects have a place in everything that we do, in all aspects of our life, including healing. So in the healing, on the healing journey, you can imagine that there is a lot of need for us to really connect with that divine feminine energy, allow ourselves the space to go with the flow, to welcome things being of change and to welcome feelings, to welcome a bit of chaos, to welcome a bit of, things not going to plan, and allowing that space for more trust and surrender, and really allowing ourselves to go through that. It's also about connecting to our emotional self and allowing those feelings to flow. The other side of that is the divine masculine energy, which is giving us this container of strength and safety and certainty so that the feminine is enabled to do all of those things. Because if we don't feel safe and we don't feel any sense of certainty, it's going to be really hard for us to allow ourselves to feel. If we don't feel safe, we're going to be stuck in that survival mode or in fight or flight or, any of those sort of trauma responses or threat responses, because we feel threatened. We don't feel safe enough to be free. And that's what that feminine is really allowing us to do, to get in touch with that part of us that desires freedom, desires joy, desires flow, pleasure, all of those things. The masculine also desires some of those things, the freedom, but it wants some certainty, it wants safety, and it also wants some structure. It wants to know there is a means to an end. It needs purpose, and it finds strength in that, and it allows us to find strength in that too. So when we allow ourselves to also feel into the divine masculine and allow that, it can really help pull us out of, for example, when we have a funk, when we're feeling like there's a lot going on, we feel like perhaps we're not motivated, we don't have that desire to move forward. And sometimes when we're really in that place of, feeling our wounds and feeling all our feels and not really moving forward or not feeling any motivation to move forward, and that drive to to create or to manifest or to do anything, and we're lacking the confidence. Perhaps we're really stuck in our stories and our self-doubt and our imposter syndrome and all of those things. The masculine, if we can call on the masculine and trust in the masculine, it can actually serve to help us, which is really beautiful, actually. And I think it's really important to not be afraid of using both of these energies in this really balanced way and dancing between the two, right? When we allow both energies to come through for us, it's not necessarily that we need to have them both at the one time, but what it means is that we have the freedom to choose. Like, we feel safe enough to dance between and swing between the masculine and the feminine, to allow both of those energies to come through whenever we're needing them. Now, I hope that all makes sense for you, but as I mentioned, it is important that we have both available to us and that we can access one or the other as we need it. Now, I've got 3 crystals that I want to share with you that I feel are really important in balancing out our masculine and feminine. And I love to use both of them, especially to help people through their own healing journeys. So the first one I'm going to pull out is Smoky Quartz. Now, this is really important because it actually helps to dispel negativity. Now, we know that as Smoky Quartz, we understand that it dispels negativity and that it can protect us from negative energy. And basically, when I say negative energy, really what I'm meaning is that we are talking about any energy that perhaps doesn't serve you and doesn't really help you on your journey. And when we think about the masculine and the feminine energy, both of those have a negative aspect, if you like to see it that way. And I say negative in like inverted commas because it's our perception of negativity. And sometimes those aspects are really needed as well, right? And there's a reason that they come through. But there are aspects, and we refer to these as toxic aspects. So there's masculine toxicity and there's feminine toxicity. And this energy can show up when we're too much in one or too much in the other. And this is why it's really important that we have this balance. Smoky Quartz can help us, I guess, to avoid that toxic energy, and also just to keep it, I guess, at bay, to help us be aware of it as well when it's showing up. So Smoky Quartz is great for that. So if you are, I guess, playing around with the different energies, please involve Smoky Quartz in your practices as well. So connecting with the energy of Smoky Quartz and also asking it to help you on this journey to ensure that you are staying in the most healthiest energy, whether it be feminine or masculine. So Smoky Quartz is absolutely one of my favorites. Another aspect is another crystal I love to use, which helps us with the aspects of masculine and feminine energy, is Amazonite. So Amazonite, such a brilliant crystal for this purpose, because it helps us have a higher perspective. And when we have a higher perspective, it enables us it helps us get out of the actual, being in the middle of whatever it is that we're feeling, whatever it is that we're facing, whatever we're going through. It helps us it helps pull us out of that and to gain a higher perspective and to see the truth of what is actually happening. And Amazonite can also, and then of course it helps us find that courage to see things without that judgment, and to see things for what they really are and the wholeness of what they are, that really coming into that perspective of and helping us to speak from that place of wholeness rather than speaking from a place which is fueled with judgment or subjective views, opinion, things like that. So it can really help to get us out of that. And in that, it's balancing both the masculine and the feminine when it comes to some sort of situation. So Amazonite is also really beautiful to help you see a higher perspective. And of course, the aim of all of this is to remember that we're actually whole, right? That at the end of the day, there is no masculine and feminine, but it's about bringing the energies together so that they meet at a point and we become whole in this beautiful, in this beautiful way where both energies are connected to us. And that's what we're trying to do, is ensure that we have this beautiful balance between both energies so that ultimately we can return to pure consciousness and return to wholeness and unity. And when we are making decisions, or when we are living from that space of unity and wholeness, and really just embodying all those parts of who we are, you can imagine, like, this is where the magic is. The last one that I wanted to share is ametrine, which typically is it's a natural forming crystal, which is both citrine and amethyst that are grown together, basically. And so it holds both properties of the amethyst and the citrine, the beautiful combination between the masculine and the feminine coming together to create magic. So amethyst is quite a feminine stone, and citrine typically quite the masculine stone. It has a lot of masculine qualities, and the feminine, of course, belonging to the feminine qualities belonging to the amethyst. So it is great to use when you are looking for that balance and you're wanting to harness both the craziness and the chaos and the healing and the nurturing and the magic of the amethyst. And then when you're also wanting to bring in, I guess, the strength and the courage and the confidence of the citrine, the manifestation, taking action, all of those sorts of things. So of course, just on that, just to explain a little bit more in terms of your healing journey, sometimes we are going to need to be really in our feminine, as I mentioned earlier. So just honoring that sometimes we do need to feel all the feels, and we don't actually feel like our truth right now is to progress forward, or we don't have that drive to actually take a step forward, because we need to feel everything. We need to work through something in that real feminine way. But then there's this beautiful opportunity for us to bring in that masculine so that the feminine doesn't go too far, or, it has some structure, it has some plan to it, and there's a greater vision, a greater strategy in place. So really allowing both of those to come through. Typically, I see a lot of students and clients tend to be skewed one way or the other. And I think it also depends, of course, in our role that we have. Sometimes people are really in their feminine at work, or they might be really in their feminine at home, and then some are masculine, maybe when they're seeing certain friends or at work again, or whatever it might be. So really just honoring also that sometimes we do need to play those roles, and depending on the circumstance, depending on where we're at. But again, the real wisdom comes from that ability to see that higher perspective, and to see and make conscious decisions about when we can call upon, and the ability to actually embody the masculine and the feminine as we need it. So this creates this real balance, but also, of course, this real conscious way of living when we are in power, when we are empowered to really choose the energy that we are really harnessing, rather than that being, something we've always done, or because of cultural norms or whatever. So being aware of why we are perhaps in one more than the other, and whether or not that's working for you. So powerful to be able to ask those questions and get curious and have that greater level of self-awareness. I hope this has helped you, and I'm really excited to hear how you go using those crystals, and if this makes a difference, and hopefully it helps you just to implement a little bit more, I guess, having a little bit more of a plan around also your healing and your healing journey with either yourself or your clients. Mwah.